Despite not getting a deal done before the deadline, Dak Prescott says he still feels confident about his future in Dallas and all is well. During a conference call yesterday, Dak said, quote, "I grew up wanting to be a Dallas Cowboy and I am. And I've got dreams of being a Dallas Cowboy until I'm done throwing the football. None of that's going to change just because we couldn't reach an agreement there for this season." So Shannon, I start with you. Do you buy it? Do you think all is really well between Dak and Jerry?
I think Dak is really smart, Skip. He's saying all the right things, not giving any air to this distraction talk. He knows, Skip. The thing about Dak is that he's very mature. For someone that's only been an NFL quarterback for 4 years, he understands how a quarterback is perceived. And the words that he says carry more weight than someone else on the team. So, but he can't say, "Well, I'm disappointed. I thought we was gonna get a deal done," and have this, because he knows they're gonna ask him all about this, Skip. For the rest of the season, they're gonna ask him, and he can't show any sign of any hint of unhappiness. So he's doing the right thing, and even if he is unhappy, guess what, Skip? The deadline to get a deal done was past July 15th. So he's talking about it or being unhappy doesn't change anything. So he has to put on his best face, put his best foot forward, and says, "Guys, this is where I want to be. I've always wanted to be a Cowboy." I hard to believe, because Tav says there was something, his brother Taz said it was something about the Cowboys he always didn't like. So it's hard to believe somebody in one household, because the thing is, Skip, me, my brother, sister, we like the Steelers. It wasn't, "Well, I like the Cowboys." We kind of all like the same, pretty much the same team. That's kind of how it works in the household, Skip. But, you know, but here's the thing. And then Jerry mentioned about the uncertainty around the COVID impact to Jerry's negotiation. Less than stable time to be talking about generational wealth.
Correct.
Skip, is Jerry Jones really the guy that you want to be talking about generational wealth? Here's the guy that's worth $8 billion. He has a franchise worth $5.5 billion. And he said, "This is not the time to be talking about generational wealth." Of course not, because you got it. It's kind of like freedom, Skip. Everybody that's free, they should do this. This is what you should do. But hold on. Remember when you didn't do that and you got here? So it's easy to talk about things that you all of a sudden, you're blessed to have. Now somebody else want that. No, this is not the time. It's never the time to talk about something that you don't want to talk about, Skip. But I love the way Dak handled this. Dak is very professional. He handled it the right way. I'm not going to give y'all oxygen to let this fire burn out of control and derail my season. I'm happy to be here. We didn't get it done. We'll try to do this thing again next year.
Okay. Quick point of order about Jerry Jones. There's this thing in the NFL called the salary cap, and I'm pretty sure it's going to plunge for next year because of COVID and the pandemic. And so that's why Jerry said it's not the time to be talking about long-term contract generational wealth, because it's not there to be had initially. Maybe longer term it will be, and I hope they could someday make a deal. I just am very skeptical that's going to happen. And yet, this is just me. You've been to many training camps. I've covered the opening of many more training camps than you went to. And every first day media session, it's always, "We love each other." It is always a new day and a new dawn, and forgive and forget, and let the new games begin, and let's start fresh with a blank slate. That's every training camp I've ever been at, even for lousy football teams, the Bears teams I covered. But they were always, "This is our year." So that's what we got yesterday from both Dak and Jerry.
And then once 3-4 days passed, what happened? Man, them jokers didn't believe in me.
That is correct. So again, I'm hoping against hope that this goes north instead of south, but it was going south at the deadline because of that post from Tad, the older brother, who said, I didn't love the Cowboys when I was growing up, and now it's going to be hard to root for the Cowboys, ... And you had to read between the lines because of what they just did to my little brother.
Even though you got a brother on the team, you're going to find it hard to root for a team. Even though they giving your brother $31.4 million, you're going to find it hard, Skip.
That's what happened. So here's my issue with what's going forward. Dak Prescott, he handles everything perfectly. He is a high-quality human being. He was born to be the leader of a big franchise, America's team, and he was born to be the face of that franchise because he's dependable and trustable, and he's bedrock. He's built on bedrock. And Jerry Jones has said many times he is as mature for his age a football player as I have ever been around. And that, for Jerry, that's saying a lot. So here's my issue with this. Because the deal didn't get done, I don't think Dak is going to be in any comfort zone, and I'm not sure the locker room will be in a comfort zone. And you know how it feels to get asked repeatedly about someone else's problem, right?
Yes.
It just wears you out. After a while, everybody else is going to be saying, don't ask me that anymore.
Right.
I don't know. I care, but I don't know. It's not my fight.
Right.
So it could become a draining sort of distraction for the team. But what did I see from Dak Prescott last year? What's his biggest problem? It's a positive negative. Dak, to me, because he was a fourth-round pick who was always trying to overachieve, he tries too hard on occasion. He doesn't just let it flow and stay in rhythm of the game. He tries to make the game happen, force the issue, and you know and I know that can get very dangerous. So he played in a comfort zone for those first 3 games, but the Hall of Famer across from me dismissed the 3 first opponents as garbage. And it was the Giants, and then it was at the Redskins, and then it was Miami at home, and he lit them up.
Yes.
All-time lit them up, and he looked like a top 5 quarterback. And his QBR averaged for those first 3 games, 90 on a scale of 0 to 100, and he was just barely behind Brady and Breeze at that point in QBR. And that's when, reportedly, according to Yahoo, that the deal fell completely apart. That's when Todd France informed Jerry Jones our price that we had sort of verbally agreed on, the ballpark, just went way up. It's in a whole nother echelon. Jerry got mad. They got mad. Do not invite him. They barely communicated the rest of the way. And Dak was playing for a contract. He was playing to show Jerry how wrong he was, how much more valuable Dak was that Jerry did not see or accept. And what happened over the last 13 games? Pro Football Focus ranked Dak the 15th best quarterback. So he fell back to the middle of the pack. And what happened over the fateful final 6 games? Not much, because it got ugly and the QBR started to plummet. He averaged 55 QBR for the last 6 games. But remember, at New England, you ripped him for that one. These are all F games. Not at Thanksgiving against Buffalo, Lord have mercy. They were the turkey, right? Dak was right in the middle of it. At Chicago on the Thursday night, disaster debacle. F, said Shannon Sharp, right? He had one nice game against the Rams at home when I thought they had sort of turned it around and figured it back out. He had an 86 QBR, but then here comes at Philly. Sink or swim, do or die. Dak, you're on. No, Dak, you're off with a QBR of 38, and they lost 17-9, and then finished it up with a nice game against Washington. Had a QBR of 64, not great, but that's a shaky finish to what started off as a great year. And I attribute large part this to rising pressure that he's putting on himself. I got to do it. I got to show him. I got to show him. And you're pressing. You're trying too hard to make the perfect throw, and you know what happens when you're out of the flow like that.
Skip, you said the cap is probably going to go down. Now, if the reporting is correct, the floor can't be below 175 million. I think this year it was 198.5. So, what do you think is more? Is 31.4 a greater percentage of 198, or is 38.2 a greater percentage of 175? Because that's what the franchise tag is going to be next year, even at the floor. So the price, if Jerry Jones thought, well, you know what, the price is going to come down, it's not.
Okay, but he wanted upwards of $40 million a year. So Jerry's looking at, I'll take 31.4 and 38-ish, and I can barely live with that, but I can't live with 42 and 42 the first 2 years of a new deal.
It wasn't going to be that, Skip Bayless. You know how this thing works. You want 5 years, so it's going to cost you $200 million. You know, write us a check at the time of signing for about $90 million. You prorate that 90 over. We'll do the first year. The first 2 years, Skip Bayless, because we